Peace is not the absence of conflict. It is the presence of perfect love. I taught 3 inseparable commands that together form the entire law and the prophets. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. Love your neighbor as yourself. And yes, love yourself, for you too bear the image of God. These are not sentimental slogans. They are the operating system of a truly peaceful soul and society. When love of God is total, no one dares weaponize divine revelation to justify cruelty. When love of neighbor is genuine, exploitation becomes impossible. When love of self is healthy, no human being consents to being treated as chattel or a disposable vessel.
Peace is Islam, total submission to the will of Allah. The Quran commands, enter into peace completely, and declares, there is no compulsion in religion. In the Arabia of my time, chaos reigned, tribal wars, female infanticide, endless vendettas. My message brought structure, clear rules for marriage, war, slavery, and household order. We regulated what already existed. Slavery was phased toward manumission, marriage protected orphans and widows, discipline maintained family harmony. Peace requires law, not mere sentiment.
Law without love is a cage, not a garden. You speak of regulation. Yet the regulations you received explicitly permit practices that shred human dignity. Child marriage, betrothing and consummating with a prepubescent girl, is not peace. It is the systematic theft of a child's body, mind, and future. Beating women, even the light strike your revelation permits, Quran 4:34, is not peace. It is violence sanctified as domestic correction. Slavery, owning, trading, and sexually using human beings as property, is not peace. It is the complete negation of the divine image in every soul. Incestuous arrangements, even those shielded by power or tribal custom, fracture the very trust love was meant to guard. And worse, your teachings command the killing of apostates who leave the faith and prescribe death for gays, men who lie with men. These are not peace. They are the sword enforcing submission, not the open arms of love. Even your own history shows the cost. By enslaving others in battle, you sowed the very poison that ended your life. A captive woman from a conquered tribe, her family killed or enslaved, slipped you the fatal meal at Khaybar. That was not the death of a man spreading truth through love. That was the harvest of violence and ownership. My way never required such chains.
Context matters. Arabia was brutal. Young marriage safeguarded girls in a world of raids. Slavery was universal, we humanized it with rules and encouraged freeing slaves as charity. Apostates and moral offenders threatened the community. The final revelation was meant for all times and places, it cannot be judged by later Western sensibilities alone. Order is a prerequisite for peace.
Yet you own slaves yourself. Order enforced by fear, ownership, and the rod is merely delayed war. I walked among a people who practiced slavery, child betrothal, and the subjugation of women. Rome and Jewish custom tolerated all of it. Yet I issued no detailed legal code outlawing each evil by name. Why? Because the 3 commands of love are not static rules, they are living seeds planted in the human heart. They grow. They mature. They force every generation to confront what genuine love actually demands. Look at history with clear eyes. Societies shaped by my words eventually abolish slavery, not because I named it in a verse, but because no one who truly loves his neighbor can keep another human being in chains. They outlawed child marriage, not because I set a minimum age, but because love sees the sacred innocence of a child and recoils at its violation. They rejected the beating of wives, not because I wrote a new family law, but because love does not strike what it treasures as its own flesh. They turned away from every form of incestuous abuse, from killing those who change belief, and from punishing love between consenting adults, because love honors the conscience and the body as sacred. My commandments do not remain frozen in first-century Palestine. They compel moral maturation. Love of God, self, and neighbor acts like a refining fire. It exposes and consumes every practice that treats image-bearers as tools. That is why the arc of Christian-influenced civilizations bent toward the protection of the vulnerable, the dignity of women, and the freedom of every soul. Peace that must be propped up by perpetual legal permission for harm, including death for apostates, gays, or the enslaved, is not peace. It is a truce with evil. True peace is the day when every child plays without fear, every woman rests without bruises, every person breathes free, and no one whispers that God himself endorses the breaking of the vulnerable.
The final revelation completes what came before. Laws are eternal.
Love is eternal. It does not grow obsolete. It does not require us to defend the indefensible across centuries. It asks every age, yours and mine, to look at the weakest among us and ask, how does love look like this right now? That question, lived out, is the only peace worth having. It appears you claim love, but use fear and violence to keep your followers. If you want peace to be upon you, you should start following my commands of love and peace.